In this presentation, we will discuss implementation of the new heading rule with reference to heading the ball in under 12 and lower age group matches. This initiative has been instituted by US Soccer, adopted by the United States Youth Soccer Association, North Carolina Youth Soccer Association, and the North Carolina Soccer Referees Association. US Soccer and NCYSA require that these rules be applied by coaches and referees for youth matches during this season beginning September the 1st of 2016. US Soccer has instituted this safety initiative in order to protect the younger age players from head injuries. This measure has led to a no heading rule for players 10 years old and younger in practice and in games. In North Carolina, games involving all ages under 12 and younger, there will be no heading of the ball. Consequently, when a player deliberately heads the ball in a match, an indirect free kick should be awarded to the opposing team from the spot of the offense. If the deliberate header committed by a defender occurs in the goal area, the indirect free kick should be taken on the goal area line at the point nearest to where the infringement occurred. If the infraction was committed by an attacker, the indirect free kick is taken in the same manner as a goal kick. If the player does not deliberately head the ball, then no infringement has occurred and play should continue. For North Carolina, due to the potential confusion of teams playing up and/or younger players playing up, referees are instructed to apply this new rule to all games for ages 12 years and below, which includes any small-sided games. This will eliminate the need for NCSRA referees to inquire as to whether a game qualifies for this new rule or not. If the game involves players 12 and under or involves youth matches played under small-sided rules, then the no heading rule will be in effect. Please remember that the effective date for enforcing this policy is September the 1st of 2016, and all North Carolina referees are required to enforce this rule in games involving the ages of 12 and younger. It is important to note that NCYSA and NCSRA require that this rule be applied to the age of the team and not the age of the player. This stipulation should make it easier for the referees to enforce this rule by identifying the under 12 and younger teams in advance, which will allow the referee to advise and remind the coaching staff and teams of this new rule prior to officiating a match with this new rule. There are two important points of clarification with respect to the application of this rule. Clarification 1. If an under 12 or younger player is playing up on an under 13 or higher age team, the rule applies to the age of the team. Since there is no reasonable way for the referee to make this determination during the run of play, then the referee is not held responsible for applying this rule for the under 12 player. It would be the responsibility of the coach and/or parent to educate the player on this important safety requirement. Clarification 2. If an under 12 team is playing in a combined bracket with under 13 and/or under 14 teams, then the no heading rule does not apply to the match. However, coaches and trainers of the involved younger players are still expected to emphasize to their players not to attempt to head the ball. It is highly recommended, if there is any question as to the age level of the match, that referees should check the roster of the teams in advance in order to determine the designation of the team's age prior to start of the match. It is important that referees should exercise common sense in approaching the application of this rule and various scenarios in matches in this age group. For example, in the scenarios of advantage, denying a goal-scoring opportunity by a header and persistent infringement of this rule, NCSRA recommends that referees should use a common-sense approach and only award an indirect free kick. If a player deliberately continues to head the ball, NCSRA suggests asking the coach to remove the player by substituting them. A caution for persistent infringement is not appropriate. In summary, it is important to know that the referees are required to apply this safety-related rule in all under 12 and younger age matches in North Carolina. If you should have any questions, please contact the North Carolina State Director of Instruction or the North Carolina Soccer Referees Association office.